And now, it's time for Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live is a call-in show where you can call in and discuss air conditioning, heating, energy savings, indoor air quality, and dealing with contractors. Comfort Time Live. And now, here's your host, your personal comfort consultant, tackling all of your home comfort issues. Here he is, live on your radio, Tom Platania.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another beautiful Friday afternoon in sunny South Florida. You are listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania, or you can actually even go to see what we're doing in the studio at ComfortTimeLive.com. All kinds of great information on Comfort Time Live, and we're actually going to be talking about a little bit of that today. The website that we have at ComfortTimeLive.com is very informative. Slowly but surely, I am bringing tons of additional information to Comfort Time Live. Just recently revamped the website, a little bit better looking, a little more user-friendly, and as I continue to progress, there's a house on the front of ComfortTimeLive.com, and it's cut in half, and you can actually click. When I'm done, you'll be able to click on any section in the house, and it'll bring you to another page that tells you everything you want to know about that. So you'll be able to click in the attic, and you'll be able to find out about insulation, about roofing, about pest control, about home inspection. Be able to click in the laundry room or the kitchen and find out all kinds of information about dryer venting and washers and dryers and appliances and things of that nature. So we are going to be a full-service website and show for your home, and we're bringing in different guests to help us with their professionalism. My background in professionalism is heating and air conditioning, indoor air quality, and energy savings. But we don't know everything, so we want to bring in other professionals with great reputations that you can trust in the information. We talk a lot about how to find the right contractor and what to expect from them and not to settle for anything less, and that's what Comfort Time Live is about. So 340-1590 is the number to call here at the studio. Questions, comments, suggestions. Maybe there's a contractor or something about your home that you'd like to hear us do a show about. We have a lot of access. Looking into possibly getting some of the water districts on there, getting some more of the local municipalities on there to talk about unlicensed contractors or permitting or things of that nature. But what we're going to talk about today are the 10 most common home concerns. And we're going to spend the rest of the show today talking about that and things that we want to look for, or that home inspectors look for, to identify defects in your home. And so we have a list of 10 of those. We're going to spend the day today. We're going to be here till about 12 o'clock. So sit back, relax, and if you'd like to call in or just go to ComfortTimeLive.com so you can kind of watch what's happening in the studio. Cliff's got the camera zoomed in on me right now, but
we'll be able to repair the camera after, don't worry.
Oh, I figured that. You would think that you guys would put me on the last show of the day, so this way, if I broke the camera, that you'd be able to replace it.
We seriously considered that.
I figured that. I figured that. So all kinds of good stuff going on. So ComfortTimeLive.com. Call us at the show here at 340-1590. We look for folks that are maybe having some problems with your current home, maybe having problems with your air conditioning or your plumbing. Maybe you've had a contractor recently come into your home and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not getting that warm, fuzzy feeling, and maybe something they said wasn't just quite right, or you just want that second opinion. I don't like to mention the company's names on there.
But when you get that creepy feeling inside that something's not quite right.
You do, but you know what? There's also some really good shysters out there
that they make you feel good about getting.
Oh yeah, they I tell you, it's like they take all your money, and it's like you feel so good afterwards because they did it so well.
Yeah.
Um,
And then by the time you realize they've ripped you off, well, you are
a little too late.
You're probably quite flattered that they ripped you off in the first place, and then you really feel good about it because you think that, wow, somebody thought enough of me to actually rip me off. But we know everybody doesn't feel like that. We say thought provoking, color provoking things to get you to call, and we have commandeered the phone lines to the station right now, and none of the business office people are allowed to use the phone this hour, so that callers can get through at 340-1590.
There you go. I like that. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So if you have any of those concerns, maybe you have a friend or family or relative, a mother, sister, cousin, uncle that's been dealing with some contractors. Maybe they're looking to have some work done on their home. Give us a call here at the station. And or you can even, if you go to comforttimelive.com and you're watching us and listening to us, you can be listening to us anywhere in the world. You can actually go into the chat room to ask your question. And we got a little chat room in there. So if you actually do some social streaming, maybe you're Facebook or Twitter or whatnot, we actually have that access now. And I figured out the reason that it wasn't doing it before. So we got it all taken care of. So Ustream, Facebook, Twitter, any of those things that you like to social stream on, you can access through there and get us all taken care of. So ask your questions, comments, suggestions. That's what the show is all about. Call-in talk show, but we're going to be spending the next 45-plus minutes talking about things to look for, 10 most common concerns. Now, some of this would be when you're possibly looking to buy a home. Maybe you're in the buying process, you want to look at these concerns, but if you're selling your home, you're going to also expect that these things are going to be looked at by the buyer. So you may want to bring these to the forefront of your concern before they are put into the negotiation tactics of the other realtor and go, well, this is bad, so we want to discount another $1,000 off the house, and we want to take another $2,000 for this and $1,000 for that. And there's a ton of homes out there, so I'm going to say it's probably a buyer's market instead of a seller's market right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much out there. So one of the number one things that we want to look for, 10 most common home defects identified by inspectors, is poor drainage. Now, the poor drainage inspectors will review whether water moves away from the house properly and whether the roof needs new gutters and downspouts or the ground level drainage systems have been properly graded. Now, that's a problem when I went to sell my house. There was actually, it had no downspouts or gutters on the home. And the way the house was pitched, the water ran off in the front of the house and actually ran back into the home. And when the inspector, not into the home, but into the foundation. And when the inspector inspected it, he said that he was very shocked that we didn't have any more permanent water damage to that portion of the house because of the way the water had eroded the gravel foundation or the dirt foundation in front of the home and caused the water to go back into the foundation and create kind of a little puddling effect there. So I can just imagine on homes that maybe were a little older that have that problem. And we realized how, I guess the only thing I ever realized that for gutters is that, when you walk out across the entryway that you're getting wet because you don't have a gutter. That's probably the only thing I ever thought, was really going to be a concern for gutters. But we are actually looking to have another company who we're in the process of doing some checks and balances on each other, but a home inspection company to be on the show with us here in the next month that so far I'm finding extremely impressive. In fact, even more impressive than the previous wind mitigation inspection company that we had on the show. So great information. In fact, some of this information that I'm giving you today is actually off of their website. So very, very, very impressive. And we'll get more into that and who that company is and promoting the show. So this way, if you have questions or comments, we'll have a professional here in the studio answering those questions. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things. One of the next one that's on the list is a big one, and this can cause multiple issues, is faulty electrical wiring. Now, if the electrical wiring has been properly installed or grounded, a home may be, oh, I'm sorry, if it has not been properly installed or grounded, a home may be vulnerable to fire, and inhabitants may risk electrical shock. I mean, it would be like having static electricity in a home, because if the wire's not grounded properly, you're going to have a backfeed on there, and you could possibly create issues where you touch some metal objects that aren't grounded, and it's not grounded properly. That could be some serious issues, and that's definitely something that when this company comes on, that we can maybe talk in more detail. Older homes often need electrical upgrades, including new wiring and circuit breaker panels, which replace old-fashioned fuse boxes. You know, everything changes. I mean, you look at computers. You buy a computer 6 months from now, it's almost obsolete. You buy a new phone 6 months from now, it's old. 3 months from now, it's old. So everything changes. So having someone to take a look at it, maybe even having a home inspection done if you're not looking to sell the house, may be well worth its weight in gold to look at things to say, okay, this is a potential risk, this is a potential hazard, you may want to consider this. And this way, things don't hit you at the last minute, that you can properly budget and prepare for them and have them replaced or repaired or removed. And before the issue comes with like faulty electrical, if you have an old fuse box or whatnot, let's say you decide to go buy I don't know, maybe upgrade your stove or something like that. And well, it's just really the wiring that's there and the fuse that's there. It's just not really capable of handling the load. Well, you could typically a fuse or a breaker is not designed for protection of the load. Okay, which would be the load would be if you had a hot water heater. The hot water heater itself is the load. A stove. The stove itself is what you call the electrical load. A breaker or a fuse is specifically designed to protect the wire from melting, burning, and causing a fire in the walls. So that fuse or that breaker needs to trip before the resistance capacity of the electrical wire gives out. So you may think that you look at your stove or another device that you get, and it says that it's capable of 30 amps, that you got a 30 amp breaker or fuse. You go to your fuse panel, you look in the fuse panel, breaker panel. Oh, I got 30 amps in there. I'm in good shape. But you realize that the wire is way too small for the amount of amperage. And what will happen is that wire will burn out and melt and cause a fire in the home before that breaker even tries to trip. So things like that are definitely things that need to be addressed and looked at, and a home inspector can definitely help you out with that. All right, so we got a few more coming up here after this. So we got 8 more. Excuse me. That's if you have 10 and you subtract 2, you got 8. That's boy, it's a good math. My daughter heard this. She'd be teasing me about it because I tease her about her math. She's 9th grade doing this.
Never tease a kid about their math because they'll get even.
Okay, here's a question. You're fairly intelligent, or you
appear to be anyway.
Or you appear to
Have
be,
the
exactly.
appearance of
You
intelligence.
definitely pulled. What would the average person have any need for linear equations?
That's true.
That's a question I'd like to throw out there. Why would I need to graft a linear equation?
That's right, because it's already linear.
If I'm not going to be a mathematical or an engineer when I go to college, which that should be taught in college, it bewilders me some of the things that we're taught and the children are taught in school now that seem more of a specialty.
Right.
That I could think of a lot more things that the children could be doing in the school.
But they're trying to teach them how to think different from the way we think because everything's changing.
But
So
I don't know. I have a hard time seeing the concept of that. That's a specialty. Taking a linear equation, grafting a chart, and figuring out how to put numbers on a grafting chart, it sounds like more of a specialty item for me. But that's what she's doing. And algorithms and linear equations and all this other stuff.
It's part of the new technology that is commonplace to our kids. I mean, our kids are so much smarter than we were at that age. That sometimes you wonder how much smarter are they than we are now.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised.
Well, you'd think, if they're 14, if we multiply that by 3, that's how old I am. You think I'd be 3 times smarter, but nah.
No, no. Actually, you've got this level. You got this as you get older. When you're a kid,
plateaued.
you're learning. You hit a plateau, and then you start declining.
Yeah.
And the older well, okay, and then as the kid becomes a teenager, then the parents appear to them to be less and less smarter. And then after they turn 18 to 21, the older they get, the smarter their parents seem to be because they're learning the hard way now.
So she's right at that age that she's questioning and saying, God, I didn't realize how big of an idiot my father was. So give her a few more years.
When she stops asking you for help with the homework, you'll know that she seriously doubts there's anything there.
Well, she's already stopped asking that. So,
But then again, later in college,
yeah.
just before she gets her master's degree, then she'll realize what wisdom is.
Good wisdom, not brain smarts. Wisdom.
No. I know some of the smartest people in the world are just the biggest idiots you've ever seen because all they've got is knowledge and no wisdom.
Yep.
All they got is academic, everything that they've memorized and learned.
Yeah.
Nothing natural and spontaneous.
Yep. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to talk about leaking roofs, aging and defective heating systems, and poor maintenance.
Not to mention linear equations.
You're listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Comfort Time Live with your fabulous host, the one and only Tom Platania.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed the break. You're kicking back in your favorite chair, or maybe you're listening at work. That could be it. Maybe the boss lets you tune in either on the radio at WPSL at 1590 AM, or maybe you got your computer in front of you and you're watching live on the streaming, and you can also listen to us live on the streaming. So maybe if you go out of town or whatnot and you still want to pick up the phone at 340-1590, give us a call, ask us a question regarding your home.
And tell everybody you got your own stream now.
Yeah, actually what we're doing is, I had some difficulty where, if you go on your iPhone apps and your Android apps and you download the Ustream, which is how we broadcast the Comfort Time Live show, you could not pull up Comfort Time Live. Never. The only way you actually could never view Comfort Time Live unless you went to WPSL and pulled up Comfort Time Live. Or unless you went to ComfortTimeLive.com and went to the archives and things of that nature. But now I've had my own Ustream account set up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stream Comfort Time Live through the Comfort Time Live account.
And those watching on WPSL TV, you get to watch a rerun of Swap Shop this morning.
Yes, exactly. And in a way, I feel a little bad, but the great thing is I want to promote Comfort Time Live. It's an independent talk show. I'm not tied to anybody. I don't make any money off of any recommendations or suggestions. There are folks that help sponsor the show to keep Comfort Time Live going because there is a fee for that. But if I make a recommendation to give somebody a call or call a company, that I don't make money off of a referral fee or anything. It's just I'm trying to help you find good, legitimate, clean contractors that I've done the research on, and help you out, because that's what happens all the time is somebody wants to do work with somebody, so they spend hours either having folks come to their house, trying to figure out should I trust them or not. Just like the ad says, $3.2 billion a year is taken out of your pocket.
It's a lot of money.
Because we make the wrong decisions on choosing people. We try to save a couple dollars. I mean, that's why the state of Florida has a fund that if and that you actually, there's papers now being signed that if you've been scammed and given money to a contractor, there's a fund for it.
That's good for the consumer, but I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be bad for the unlicensed contractors because now they're going to have a big incentive to come after them.
Yeah, absolutely.
To recover their losses
Absolutely.
as a result of what the unlicensed contractors pulled.
Yep.
It's a big trap, friends.
Yep. So, it's very easy to protect yourself. You say that it won't happen to you until it happens to you. You never know. Just like having safety protections on devices and things in your home, just like having different insurances or whatnot, you never know you need it till you need it.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I've lived with it throughout this long. You know what? You're probably one of the lucky ones.
Yep.
But you know what? Then that one day when you need it, that's when you say, gosh, I should have had it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put yourself in that position. Listen to Comfort Time Live. Ask the questions. Tell your friends. If you know of good businesses that you've been using for years, whatever it may be, from carpet cleaning to tile to drywall to, give us a call. Give me a call. Email me. Go to comforttimelive.com, and you can. There's a link on the left-hand side that says Contact Us, which we've had some people do. Click on that. Tell me who the contractor is. I'll do a background check on them and whatnot. And if they're clean and I respect them and I think they're good, I'll meet with them. And if we decide mutually that they can come on the show, the little finder's fee for you, $50 finder's fee for
there
doing
you go.
that. Yeah, so $50 finder's fee. Now, because the show cost money, I've already had somebody call me the day after last Friday's show. He thought it was free. All right.
Oh.
Now, because there is a cost for the show, is a very small cost for a contractor or someone from homes to come on the show, but it's minimal. And all it is something to help offset the cost of what Comfort Time Live has to.
Radio airtime,
That's
namely,
it.
it is, yeah.
And it's very, very reasonable. It's not some exuberant amount of money, but
That's right. I don't drive a Rolls Royce.
he definitely does not drive a Rolls Royce, and neither do the station owners. Now, Veronica, on the other hand, I think she's
got a whole fleet of Tahoes.
Yeah, Tahoes. I mean, she's just racking in the bucks. I thought she'd be listening. She's
Beach condo living, you know.
She's sitting right across in the window. I thought she'd hear, but I guess they don't have the radio on out
No,
there.
they can't hear anything in there.
No, I thought they might have the radio playing.
You want about her right now, and she wouldn't hear a thing.
God.
Her ears are itching, though.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her husband. But anyway,
Oh.
I'm just teasing. But if she ever plays
He's
this
a good
back,
guy. Mel's a good guy.
if she ever plays this back and I come walking in the door and she swings at me, I'll know why.
Right. Or you could be riding down the road and all of a sudden there'll be a Tahoe on your bumper, you know? Say, what did I do?
Oh, gosh. So 340-1590, the number to call here at the studio. Questions, comments, suggestions. All right, so poor drainage, faulty electrical wiring. Now we have a leaking roof. Now, leaking roofs result from poor flashing, which are intersections where parts of the roof are joined, or aging shingles and roofing material. If the roof has leaked, repairs could range from minor, which is just kind of replacing some shingles, to extensive. Actually replacing the entire roof, which most of us here in Florida know when we had those hurricanes. This was like blue tarp, country. Right. You still see a couple of those up here and there. You have one on your house still, Cliff?
Nope.
Nope. Got it off?
No, 06.
So, in the hurricanes, I actually had a couple shingles,
Actually, oh 05.
What's that?
Actually, 05, I think.
Oh, 5. Oh,
Forgetting the years. How can you forget those years?
oh, when you're old. I mean, when you get as old as you,
I-
Cliff, it's
I
like
know.
just time just is a.
Yeah, but we have other incentives that make us happy, and we're real quiet about that. You'll find out when you get here.
I think I got another what, 30 years? I'm 42, so I got at least another 30 years,
At
right?
least before
For-
you catch up with me.
Before I get your age.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Your hair will fall out for that.
Well, hey, looking at my dad who's in his 60s,
Yeah.
he's got most of his hair, so I feel pretty good.
Well, I don't know. It looks like it's going back
It's
a
getting
little
thinner.
bit. By the time you're in your 40s now?
42.
42, yeah, that's when it starts.
That's when it starts.
It starts, yeah. You'll notice one day that, gee, the tan line on my face, it's like an inch below my hairline. What's going on?
Well, I noticed the haircuts are getting cheaper, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
Oh, they're getting real again.
They're
Real barbers are opening up, instead of salons.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
the difference in the price of a haircut.
Actually, the barber is more expensive than the salon.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking the little quickie haircuttery
But
places.
see, the salon, the salon, they'll take a little tiny bit off. Is that enough?
The
And they'll cut
barbers-
it
the
again.
barbers
You
are
cut
nice.
it 5 times. You go to a barber, he'll cut your hair.
Yeah, and they do a straight razor to the back of your neck, and
yeah.
I like that. It's very nice. There's a place in St. Lucie West at Traditions. It's like that. Good place. So leaking roof. So you definitely want to make sure that you keep an eye on that. If you're not physically in a position to go take a look at that roof, definitely have a home inspector. Home inspections are very inexpensive, and you'd be amazed at the detailed report that you could get. So take a look at that. Now, next thing is an aging or defective heating system. Well, this is my specialty. Well, I don't think we're really concerned too much with heating systems in Florida, but we are interested in air conditioning systems.
I was concerned about the heating system the other morning.
Oh, yeah. It's been a little, this is the time when people are jealous of my heated seats in my car.
Oh, you've got heated seats.
Yeah. So what I can do is I can remotely start the car because I got a remote
Before you even leave the house.
before I even leave the house. And what it does is it's got a setting on it for automatically. So whatever temperature it is outside, it makes sure that it puts the temperature in the cabin to 70 degrees, whether it's heating or cooling that it needs.
Wow.
And if it's cold enough outside, it actually automatically turns on the heated seats for you.
Automatically.
Automatically.
Have a nice warm rear end.
There you go. And
That's comfort.
my daughter really appreciated that when I was bringing her to school the past couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're walking outside, it's 36 degrees outside, and you go snuggle in that car, a nice 70 degrees, get a nice little cushy on the
Kinda
tushy.
like, can we just kind of stay here in the car today?
So I actually had to leave a little early for work, and I felt really bad. Well, not really, but I had to drop her off a few minutes before school started. So she actually had to be out in the cold for like 15 minutes.
And when she got into the classroom and sat down, those seats were not heated.
Yeah, and I started texting her and teasing her, and of course I wasn't driving while I was texting her.
You were texting while she was at school?
Well, before the school started, telling her,
Oh,
gosh, because I told her, I said, I got to turn the heat on this seat down. It's just, my tushy's too warm. And she's getting all mad because it's 37 degrees outside.
Yeah,
and she's,
yeah.
So aging or defective heating and air conditioning system. Now that's probably one of the 3 biggest ones on a home that could cost a ton of money. So you really need to make sure that most of the time you can have that inspected without a home inspector for a very reasonable cost. And a lot of the things we want to look for is we want to look for the coil, which is in the air handler, which could either be in the attic or in the garage or in the house. You really want to pull the filter out and look up inside there and see how caked on the dirt and debris is that's on there. And if the unit's more than 4, 5, 6 years old, you probably, unless you've used like an absolutely super duper filter, you probably have some debris on that you definitely want to look at. Also, the outside unit, looking at the fins, take your finger and not up or down, but go across the grain of the fins, because if you go up and down, you might cut your finger. But drag them across the little metal fins out there and see how sturdy they are. If it's an older unit and you drag that across, you may see those fins just start to just disintegrate because the aluminum is just deteriorating. That's called galvanic corrosion when you have that. And that's caused by two dissimilar metals because you typically, except for the train units in American Standard, everybody's got a copper tube with aluminum fins. Well, two metals like that, the aluminum gives up its properties quicker than the copper does and causes it to corrode faster.
That's where that dustiness and deterioration comes from.
Exactly. So and because that is where the unit gets its heat transfer to be efficient, when that fin disintegrates, it loses its efficiency.
Right.
So that's why you still may have a system that's running, but it's lost so much of its efficiency that it's costing you twice as much than as what it should to run. So you definitely want to have that taken a look at. Poor maintenance. A do-it-yourself seller's Band-Aid fixes to plumbing, electrical, and other problems can sometimes do more harm than good. You spend a lot of time trying to fix things yourself, but when it comes time for buying and selling a home, you may lose thousands because you didn't necessarily do it the way it should have been done. How about structural damage? A leaking roof or settling foundation may mean doorways, walls, and support beams are off kilter. You need to fix these problems to remain safe. Now, that's something that when the inspector came to the house when I was selling it, they actually have rules as to how much of a crack and how many cracks are acceptable before they consider it a concern. So the patio out back in my house had a big crack in it. But it was a specific, and we can find out when we have our home inspectors come in, it was a specific width that it had to be in a specific length, and so many of them before they would consider it a big concern where the foundation would have to be looked at. But it makes sense. You look at some of these houses that the foundations weren't poured properly, or things were done before the ground settled or wasn't compacted properly. And this house settles. You could have a doorway that was perfectly plumb, and now the house settled a little bit. You got a little crooked door here. So plumbing problems. Now, inspectors look for faulty pipes and fixtures. They also look at whether plumbing parts are made of compatible materials. Leaky-prone polybutane plumbing pipes, popular in 1970s, still the mid-1990s, may have to be replaced. So different materials that we're using now, which are a little bit more sturdier, less prone to breaking, especially if we have some different temperatures like we've had. You see people going around now, you see people putting covers and stuff all over their plants and trees and stuff like that. When it starts getting down freezing for too long, you want to make sure you're also running water through the pipes and whatnot so that you don't have issues, especially if you have an older house.
A house with maybe, say, a water pump. I remember I was in an old house with a water pump once, and we had a really serious freeze, and the water pump froze. And as it thawed, it actually cracked
Wow.
the water pump to where the pump wouldn't shut off and it was spraying water
Oh, my gosh.
out the crack in the pump, and we had to replace that motor. They had to replace it. Had no choice.
There you go. There's prime example.
Oh, yeah.
Prime example. So make sure you get, in some of these things, a home inspection is so inexpensive. And for a couple $100 to have a home inspection, to find out that you have these issues could be worth its weight in gold. Worth its weight in gold.
And deal with them before, say, if you're going to sell your house, you need the inspector to see it before it sells.
Or before it gets too big of a problem.
You need to know what you can and can't have when you sell.
And you'll have a little bit better negotiation instead of having, because if I'm home inspectors typically are not supposed to be working for anybody individually. They're supposed to be just more independent. However, if I'm the buyer and I hire a realtor and that realtor hires a home inspector, you may think that there's a little non-bias, but who's writing the check?
Yeah.
They're going to look after the person who really hired them, and they're going to just nickel and dime you to death. I had that on one house that I sold. Just some of the stuff that this guy was coming across with was just, are you kidding me? You're taking points off for that, and I forget what it was. It was something that had to do with like the bathroom window or something like that, and it was just absolutely insane. And I forget what it was at the time, but I just remember there was some issue with this guy, and when I showed it to when the person buying the home looked at it, they're like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! I'm not even worried about that." I'm like, "Good," because I wasn't either. But you know, the problem is that these guys, if they're being hired by someone and they walk into a home and they don't find a lot of stuff, they want to look good by trying to find
Exactly.
something.
Got to find something.
Yeah, they got to find. So they're gonna just gonna if they don't find anything big, they're gonna just nitpick. And so having a home inspection done ahead of time, may save you a lot of money when it comes time to sell your home. Let's take another quick break, Cliff.
Okay.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, ComfortTimeLive.com. You're not going to be able to get there through WPSL.com. You go to ComfortTimeLive.com, and live streaming. You'll see us on the left, and on the right-hand side is the chat room. So pick up the phone or go into the chat room. Call us at 340-1590. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Welcome back to Comfort Time Live. Once again, here's your host, Tom Platania.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you're relaxed and comfortable and listening to all the information that we're providing to you. But if you have a question, comment, or suggestion, don't be shy. Just pick up the phone and call 340-1590. The phone lines are open.
Let me tell you a secret about being on the radio, Shy One. Nobody can see you, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. But also, maybe you think that somebody might recognize your voice and you're a little on the embarrassed side.
So,
Do the
put
chat
a paper
room.
bag over your head. Hello, is this Comfort Time Live? Can you hear me okay?
Is that what you used to do with your ex-girlfriends?
Put a paper bag over their head?
Or they put one on your head?
Oh, that was a gotcha. Okay.
Or you can go to ComfortTimeLive.com and just put your question in the chat room. Very, very simple. Or you can email me. This way you do it off air. Then we can answer your question during the next Friday's show. We've had a few people do that in the past where they're a little on the shy side. They email me. I answer their question for them, and we do it live on the air. So let's go back to the top 10 things, most common things that are concerns about your home. So far we've with the 10 most common home concerns when buyers and sellers may believe that their home is unique, but home inspectors find that most homes defects are strikingly similar. In fact, there are these 10 most common ones that inspectors typically identify.
Really?
So number 1 was poor drainage. Number 2 was faulty electrical wiring. Number 3 was a leaking roof. Number 4 was an aging or defective heating and air conditioning system. Number 5 was poor maintenance for those do-it-yourselfers who, are afraid because they've been stricken with the unlicensed contractor effect in the past because they've been taken to the cleaners. So they decide that, well, instead of educating myself on how to deal with them properly, I'll just do it myself.
Uh-oh.
I could probably get it done cheaper. I could probably do it cheaper. I know more than they know.
Well, come to find out, the unlicensed contractor knew more than you did. And then what do? Oh, boy. Trying to save money, you got to be careful not to spend too much money in an effort to save money. And that's what's happening. They tried to save money, hired an unlicensed contractor, got ripped off, loss of money, okay? So then, okay, let's do this ourselves now. Well, the knowledge and the know-how and the permit pulling power and ability, I mean, if you've never pulled a permit before for something like this, you have to know what they're going to require for you to pull that permit. You can't just go pull a permit. This is what I'd like to do. That's the way things happen.
All right, looks like we have a caller. Sal, good morning and welcome to Comfort Time Live.
Yes.
How we doing?
I have a question. I have a small condo in Stewart.
Okay.
And the air conditioner failed when we got back. It was all iced up. I shut it off. I called the man. And I guess we can assume it lost its charge. And I haven't had a service for a number of years, and I'm just wondering if it's all out of Freon, what am I looking at money-wise?
Well, typically, a heating and air conditioning system, depending on the length of the line set, most of them can take anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds of refrigerant if it's completely out. So he filled it with refrigerant. Is that correct? The last person that came out?
No, he didn't. I haven't had it done yet.
Okay, so it was low on refrigerant and it's been running low, or you haven't ran it at all?
No, I haven't run it since.
Okay.
To try to get the ice cleared up.
Okay, and how long's that been now?
It's been a week since we shut it down, and because the weather's been so cool, I haven't called him back. He told me to call him back when the ice had gone, and it did finally.
Okay, yeah, and that's typically some of the issues that cause that are lack of refrigerant in the system because you have a leak, or that we don't change the filter. The filter gets clogged up and causes the coil to freeze. So depending on how much refrigerant's leaked out, it all depends. The cost of refrigerant goes up and down every day. You could be looking at anywhere from $30 to $45 a pound for refrigerant, depending on what type you have.
Yes.
And usually you could be anywhere from, if it's completely out, you could be up to 10 pounds of refrigerant.
Yeah.
And depending on how big the leak is. If it's already causing problems, then you've probably lost a good half of the refrigerant in the system or close to it. So you could be looking at a minimum of 5 pounds, plus whatever the service call is. Now, how old is the system?
It's quite old. It must be close to 40 years.
Say what?
Must be close to 40 years old.
Is there an inside and an outside, or just a?
There's an outside. It's a condo. The condenser's on the roof.
Okay, and then you have an air handler downstairs in the condo?
Yes.
40 years old?
Yeah, I've had the condo for 30, and I know darn well the man didn't replace it the day I got there. So
I tell you, I need you to do me a favor. I would love a picture. If that thing is 40 years old, I want to post that on the website.
And the company that made it might want to post it on theirs.
Tell you, that's something like Carrier had a few years back, where they actually were giving $100 spiff for folks that had a unit that was over a certain amount of years old, that they could take a picture of it and show it that it was still around. That's impressive. If it's 40 years old, I would love to have a picture of that and find out what the make and model is and see how it's installed. That's impressive.
When I give you the make, you'll know I'm telling you the truth. It's a Singer.
Oh, my gosh,
Wow.
yeah. Wow.
They haven't been around since they stopped making the...
That's impressive. I would, Sal, I would love for you to, and if you can, if you download, if you have the ability to do pictures and stuff like that, if you go to Comfort Time Live, you can just email me and just send me the pictures. I would love to see that. That would be great for the show. But you could be looking at that dollar amount, but some of the other things that could have caused a problem. If that thing was running for a long period of time before you realized it froze up, could have caused some damage to that compressor, especially as old as it is.
Yeah.
And if depending on how much refrigerant has leaked out and how big the leak is, you could have gotten moisture and whatnot in that line. So whoever's going to do this job, when they fix the leak, they are going to have to make sure they do a very, very good evacuation of that system, which helps to suck out all the non-condensables in the air and everything else.
Yeah. Well, it was probably running through the summer because
Oh.
I live in Connecticut in the summer, and I get my electric bills, and they were just about the same as the year before. People had a real hot September here, so my
Yeah.
September bill was a little higher than August, I thought,
Yeah.
and but it might have been running fairly well. When we first came in, I noticed that it was warm in there and that not too much cool air was coming out of the duct. So
Right. Well, some of the things he'll be able to do to check is he'll be able to take what they call an amp meter and put it on the compressor as it's starting and running, and he should be able to determine if it's drawing excessively high amperage, which could tell you that there was some damage to the compressor. He can also pull all the leads off the electrical leads off the compressor and use what we call an ohm meter, which just tests resistance and the wiring inside the compressor. And you can use that, and that'll tell you how well the windings inside the motor are running as well. If they're very good, or if there's a struggle for continuity, if there could possibly be breaks, that'll also tell him before he gets that compressor start up. And but he's going to have to do a really good evacuation of that system, which they have a special device called a vacuum pump. It pulls negative pressure inside that to pull it down below atmospheric pressure to boil off all the non-condensables and all the junk that's been sucked into that thing because of the leak. Especially if it's been running for a while, you may have it where you might have if you have no pressure in it, you're going to actually create a suction inside that instead of a pressure. So, so 5 to 10 pounds, anywhere from $30 to $45 per pound, plus the evacuation, labor, and so on and so forth. I mean, you could be looking at, if the compressor's not bad, you could be looking at upwards is probably close to $400.
further down the line, if it does get condemned, which I kind of feel it might because of the age.
Yeah.
I have a condo, and it's about 900 square feet. I was wondering, up north, we've been using these ductless systems, and I love mine. Well, I have 3 of them in the house because they're so quiet.
Yes.
Would that be an option down here? What I'm really worried about is the Freon lines coming from the roof to the unit. Could they use those with a ductless system?
No, the ductless systems actually take a different line set size.
Oh, boy.
And you have more than one room in the condo? Probably have a bedroom, bathroom, living room, dining room?
Yeah.
So in order to cool the home properly, you would actually have to use multi-head mini split, which is probably what you have up north, you said, right?
Well, I have separate units up north.
Okay.
And there's 2 floors. But I'll tell you another thing that I have a bunch of apartments. What I've been using is these room air transfers. It's a small fan that goes actually in the 16 inches of studs, and you put a hole in one room and the fan is on the other, and you can transfer the air from one room to the other. And with a ductless system, it hasn't worked out bad for me with the heat. I have small apartments with gas heat.
Right.
I put one unit in the larger room, and it transfers the air to the other 2 rooms.
Right.
And it works out quite well.
Well, you probably have you probably have a halfway decent duct system in the condo that you have here.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But that's what's causing the noise.
What's causing the duct system?
Well, yeah, I think that's where a lot of the noise is generated. The fan going into the duct system, and it just keeps amplifying. I think. I'm not sure.
Right. Because in Florida, because we have humidity issues, I definitely wouldn't go with the transfer method. You end up with some really humid and nasty rooms. I would, today the systems are very efficient.
They're a lot quieter too.
Much quieter.
Yeah.
If noise is a big issue, you may want to look at going with an air handler that's called a variable speed air handler. It's just that the fan can ramp itself up and down. They tend to be a little quieter upon startup.
Yeah.
The only issue with that is if the duct system is undersized when it was originally installed, a variable speed air handler, to a point, it doesn't care how small the duct is. The fan motor is designed to ramp up as much as it needs to get to the amount of CFMs it needs. So the problem you run into with this variable speed air handler is it ramps up real fast, and it'll sound like a freight train if the ductwork's too small.
Yeah, well, maybe replacing it with today's efficiency and quietness and so forth would probably be.
Yeah. Can you access the ductwork or no?
Big time.
Can you access the ductwork, or are you on like?
Yeah, no, it's up there. It's not that far. What I've noticed, this condo, there's 195 units, and it was built in 3 phases.
Okay.
And this is the oldest phase that I'm in. Okay. And my sister-in-law bought one in the newer phase, and her unit's a lot quieter than mine.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with how it's installed, the manufacturer of the unit. If they're both the same unit, there's a lot of little factors. Duct sizing is probably the biggest factor of sound. Is it too small? Did they put bends in it? So whatever company comes out to look at that, you'd want to make sure that they do a proper sizing, make sure that the ductwork is right, even though it may be the same tonnage. It's always best to just double check and to find out.
What do you think I'm looking at to replace this unit for a 900 square foot condo?
It depends on if it's 2 or 3 tons. I mean, you should be able to get into something depending on the efficiency for under 5,000.
Oh, that's what we get up north.
Yeah, I mean, and that depends on the efficiency and the tonnage. I mean, if you're looking at 2.5 tons, which you probably are, you should be definitely, depending on 16 SEER, you should probably be, whoever you go with, definitely under 5,000. And then you get to choose what manufacturer and what brand you want from there.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
No problem, Sal.
We haven't bored your other listeners too much, but
no, that's what the show's about. I appreciate the phone call and appreciate you creating topic, because I guarantee that somebody else out there's got the same questions and concerns that you do.
Maybe.
Awesome, Sal. Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Same to you, bud.
All right, sir. Okay, well, great. I mean, that's what it's about.
Wow.
Pick up the phone and have conversation. Tell us what your thoughts and feelings are. We can talk through them.
Now, the next Comfort Time Live broadcast
Dun, da, da, da.
will be next Friday, right?
Yeah. Yes, we do not have a Saturday show anymore. Fridays from 11:05 to 12 are the only shows. So next Friday, we will be back. If you have questions, comments, suggestions like Sal, you can either email me, and we'll talk about them on the air, or you can just call the show live at 340-1590. Thanks for listening to Comfort Time Live. Cliff, thanks for being a good partner.
And folks, don't forget, you can always go to ComfortTimeLive.com and contact Tom through email to ask any question during the week.
That's it. That's what I'm there for. Thanks a lot.
And, of course, that's going to wrap up our live broadcasting from our studio for the morning. Rush Limbaugh coming up, Tom Sullivan at 3. Have yourselves a fine one. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast. Time right now is 12 o'clock.